Say it like a Nazi. They have no reason, exactly. They have no reason to hate me.
Hello, 'tis I, Fat Cow. No reason to hate you. Your treatment of animals, your treatment of Pete's, your treatment of your grandma when she was on her deathbed and you rather go and see Nada and get off your tits on illicit drugs and have sex. Your treatment of anybody you think who disrespects you, whether you are legitimately disrespected or not, and your absolute insistence on being the lowest common denominator and insulting them physically, because you know that you can't insult anybody intellectually, spiritually, morally, because you would definitely lose that fight. The lying, the manipulation, the gaslighting, the fabrication of many things, the false accusations, the lying on Nada's behalf for a crime he committed. What else? I mean, isn't that enough to hate you? What about conning people for money? What about lying about your faith? Manipulating your supporters. Shall I go on? And, foodie, you may have noticed that a very general list I just spewed forth didn't include anything to do with your appearance, your size, your weight. So think about it.
You know they aren't getting laid.
Prove it. Prove it. You say this all the time. Receipts. Prove it. Well, one could argue that given the evidence that we have been presented statistically, mathematically, scientifically, physics, biology, all that scientific stuff would suggest that quantifiably it is extremely unlikely that you and Salah can actually consummate your relationship. The fixtures and fittings don't fit. Square peg, round hole. Massive hole in the dam, little needle to try and block it. Docking the space station into the Death Star, but from a big distance and without tracking device or guidance. Sticking a toothpick in a watermelon, you know.
Do you not see the hilarity and the irony of someone like Rage Potato talking about my life and thinking I don't have one?
If doing it to yourself or getting to second base now counts as having a sex life, then there are a lot more sexually active people in the world than previously thought. Plus, we know when the deed has occurred between the two of you, or what counts as the deed given the physical limitations, because of how fucking smug you are the next day. And I've only seen that smug face in relationship to your marriage twice. The first time was the video where you were defending the first apartment, you know, the red room, and you were talking about your first night together. You had the look on your face of the kitty that got the top of the milk. The second time you had that look on your face, and the only other time, so that's twice, was when you got back from Canada after finding out Salah had cheated on you. So he obviously proved to you that you were more desirable. So in 2 years, there are 2 occasions where I would confidently say you very obviously got something the night before. That's not a lot. And let's say that, what is it, Marwan? One of the guys, not Allah, the other one, because we're M, stated that Salah had performed his duty initially because he felt like he had to because of all the money you'd given him. So yeah, you probably have some moments, but I bet they're always when you're extremely pissed off and he has to seriously do some brown nosing to make it up to you. So probably every time you've suspected he's cheated. Yeah. And actually one could argue if he only touched you every time you thought he'd cheated, it'd be a very regular event, actually. And what kind of flex is it to say, I'm having sex and you're not? You're a 15-year-old boy, aren't you? You're a 15-year-old boy cosplaying as an adult female. It's not a flex. And just because you are, maybe, doing the deed doesn't mean it's any good. We're not going to assume, You're not exactly going around saying, I'm having the most fantastic sex ever with Pedro Pascal, for example. I'd be impressed with that. I'd also be horribly wounded and very jealous. Some people are slightly more sure of themselves, that they don't find it necessary to be involved with another person to feel like they had any value in society. That's a flex.
It wasn't a Nazi salute, Amy. I wasn't doing a Nazi. Why would I do a Nazi salute? Can you explain why I would do that? Out of nowhere?
Actually, I can. My Middle Eastern Muslim ex-husband had a certain philosophy towards a certain group of people of the Abrahamic religious persuasion that was neither Muslim or Christian, if you know what I mean. And it was an opinion that wasn't uncommon amongst him and his peers and people of a similar generation as myself in either direction. So I'd say about Nada's age. He also happens to be a Middle Eastern man of a Muslim by birth persuasion. Now my husband believed, one, that people should stop going on and on and on about a certain incident that happened during a certain period in time where a certain military group of people from a European country did something pretty horrific to millions of people of this Abrahamic persuasion, because it was ages ago and they should just shut up about it now. Get over it, basically. He was also of the belief that a certain military group from a European country who liked uniforms quite a lot weren't exactly incorrect in their philosophies towards a certain Abrahamic faith that was neither Christian nor Muslim, and that, it was a good thing what he did. So my educated, upper class, Middle Eastern Muslim man was not a friend of people of this Abrahamic faith, let's say, and his philosophies are not uncommon within the Middle East. So there's a good chance that Nada had similar philosophies and would have found a certain gesture funny. And you tend to absorb the philosophies of the men you are currently trying to do the beast with two backs with.
Like, have I ever talked any kind of like anti-Semitism, like rhetoric? Like, I really don't understand why people would think I didn't even know what the Nazi salute was. That's how stupid I am when it comes to that.
When trying to discredit a fallacy, the best approach is to say, no, you're wrong, and leave it at that. But to quote somebody famous, I would say Shakespeare, but probably somebody else said it first. He thinks the lady doth protest too much.
What? I see people all the time just be like,
Yeah, but that's not what you did.
Bye, guys. Thank you. Bye.
like, bye. I can't with this stupidity. If you believe that, I don't know what to tell you. There's no hope. Yeah, I remember the salute they're talking about. I was at Natchards and I was saying bye to my chat. I wasn't talking about any Nazi. I literally just was like, bye guys, or bye guys. Like, what?
When I was little, I mean single digit little, you could always tell when I'd been accused of something I hadn't done, because I would cry. When I was accused of something I had done, I got angry or annoyed or had a little tantrum and protested, and went on and on and on about how I definitely didn't do the thing I was being accused of, even though I had. Remind you of somebody?
It was not a Nazi salute, no matter how much you say it was. Okay, if it was the salute that the Nazis do, I didn't know it was that.
I didn't do it. And even if I did, I didn't know that that was what I was doing.
That looks like a salute. Yeah, that's what it was meant to be, just a normal salute.
Less than a minute ago, it was you waving goodbye to your fans. Now it's a salute. Interesting.
It's not the controversy, exactly. It's not the controversy they think it is.
I'd argue it's pretty fucking awful, though.
Actually, the Nazi salute, I won't do it, but it was like more, when I looked it up, it was more like,
there I was, digging my hole in the ground, it was big and kind of round.
very like, you know.
Now you're pretending that you don't exactly know what it is and saying it's one thing when you know damn well it's another thing. You really think that everybody is stupid? You have such a low opinion of the human race as a group, and such a high opinion of yourself. It sucks to be you.
Okay, yeah, I'm a Nazi.
Nobody said you were that. What was said was you had performed a very particular gesture that a very particular military group in a very particular time in history did to a very particular vegetarian German person that most people consider to be seriously anti-Semitic. So nobody's calling you that. They are calling you anti-Semitic, a bigoted arsehole, prejudice, culturally insensitive, a twat.
Look at Nixon when he gets on the plane, he does the same thing. There you go.
Clutching, eat straws.
Why would I look up? Okay, I'm gonna look up the Nazi salute just for no reason.
Maybe you looked it up before you did it, once you learnt that your current obsession was possibly, allegedly, of the anti-Abrahamic faith, not Christian Muslim persuasion. Okay, you looked it up. Prove to us you looked it up after you were accused and not before. Receipts. Prove it. Go on. Prove it. I don't have to look it up to know what it is. Anybody who has seen any film about that certain period in time, and anybody who was taught about that certain period in time at school, which tends to happen in most countries that were involved on the winning side. Yeah, it's funny how suddenly you're not the most intelligent person on the planet when it suits you.
Yes, I had to look up the Nazi salute to see what it was, what they did after people were accusing me of it. Yes. Oh, sorry. I'm not smart because I didn't know what the Nazi salute was. Sure.
Have you noticed how much effort I'm putting in to not say the word that starts with N and ends in E? Because I know that word is offensive. How many times has our foodie said it without even taking a breath or pausing to think about it? And she so conveniently plays ignorant when it suits her. So, let's ignore the actual documented, videoed evidence. We'll ignore that. Given the diatribe, the verbal diarrhea, the absolute shit that has just spawned forth from this particular individual's mouth, I could quite confidently say she knows exactly what she did. Anyway, that's not actually the point of this video, and I hadn't planned on spending that much time commenting on that little blip. in foodie history lore. Lots of stuff has been going down with Lol Cow Live. And a response was made by said individuals yesterday, which I did not watch. And if anything is to go by, according to X, it's called Twitter, nothing new was said. So I'm not going to throw my whatever the metaphor is in the ring. I'm going to talk about something else. I'm going to talk about change. Foodie says she's been trying to change, and it's very difficult to change, and that nobody appreciates the fact she's been trying to change. I would argue that if after 2 years no visible indications of any progress at all has been shown, then it is very questionable how much you have tried to change, or whether or not you actually want to. Yes, she dresses differently upon Salah's request. Yes, she doesn't hang out with men. Salah's request. Incidentally, Salah, who does not like his wife fraternising with the opposite sex, has no problem whatsoever with her buggering off to Thailand by herself for over a month. If he legitimately had issue, he would have not let her go. Methinks he only insists when it suits him. When you revert to Islam, you take the Shahada. The Shahada isn't just saying the words. It's meaning the words. It's believing the words to your very core. Otherwise, it's just words. So out of all the things that the Quran tells you to do, what has Foodie actually done? She doesn't wear noisy shoes. No, I'm serious. There's a part in the Quran that says women mustn't wear heels that click and clank as they walk because it draws attention to them. And we know Foodie wears rubber things. So there's that. Seriously, I'm trying to think what else. The Quran says you need to dress modestly. It doesn't say you have to cover your hair. It says you have to dress modestly. Do you think wearing a push-up bra that accentuates your décolletage and makes you appear more voluptuous in that certain area than is needed, as in wearing a bra just to support you, as opposed to wearing a bra to enhance you, would count as being modest? And what about wearing a certain style of dress called an empire line dress that ends directly under said décolletage and therefore accentuates the certain voluptuous that this bra I'm talking about has given you be considered modest? Modesty isn't just covering your skin. It's hiding the shape of your body, she says, when her boobage is out. You can call me a hypocrite if you want, but I no longer claim to be a Muslim. What else does she do that's in the Quran? That's it. Doesn't wear noisy shoes. Fantastic. Is change hard? Yeah. Is it 2 effing years with no indication of any progress whatsoever hard? No. I was thinking about it, and Foodie's going to say, as a food addict and somebody with an eating disorder, the fact that she goes against the word of the Quran, which is don't eat to excess, don't be gluttonous, don't be greedy, means that she has a reason to struggle with this particular excess. Whereas most scholars would argue that your belief in God, your fear of the repercussions in the afterlife if you don't behave in a manner that is required, and your overwhelming desire and need to please God should be enough for you to overcome your adversities. Implies that that excuse doesn't carry that much weight. Additionally, the Quran doesn't like name calling, bullying, deliberate attempts to ruin somebody's reputation, foul language, losing your temper, trying to get people deliberately in trouble, defending yourself. You're actually just meant to walk away. Lots of things that people should be able to overcome, not just because it's the right thing to do or out of religious fear, but because, one could argue, the higher power has provided the tools for us to overcome these things. And if you willingly, defiantly choose not to use the tools provided by the higher power, such as doctors and therapy and medicine and professionals, then you're not trying at all. So here's my point. Foodie doesn't want to change. Foodie doesn't believe she's doing anything wrong or needs to change. She's not changing for a higher power, that's for sure. The changes she has made and the changes she claims she needs to do are the will of Salah, a man who, out of the millions and millions of Muslims on this planet, wouldn't even come in my top 1 million of people I would turn to for a religious guidance. Foodie doesn't believe. She can't believe. Because when you believe, your entire motivation for everything you do is to please God. I'm not talking out of my gargantuan behind here either. I'm talking as somebody who believed in the same religion that Foodie is claiming now. And I know how I felt at the time. Now, I am loath to question other people's beliefs. And up until this point, I wouldn't have dared to say that Foodie doesn't believe in God. But I have no issue with this anymore. Foodie is so far removed from an individual who has found God that she is a mockery. Foodie didn't find God. She found a man who is also playing at being a particular faith. This entire arc is for a man, just as the anti-Semitic thing was for a man. She doesn't worship God or a higher power. She worships